Okay, go. You ready? All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ron Holloway, and this is Fellowship of Spirit Church. And we would like to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. We have two speakers plus me, if we have time, and to share their near-death experiences. Come on in, Margaret. So I'm hoping that I know that you're going to have a real treat tonight, because these guys have come to share their experience, and I didn't even ask them about it because I trust them. I trust Spirit, and I trust that what there's no way you can argue with it. I mean, it's your experience. How could I? That's just the way that it is. But we will have a period of questions so that you could ask them questions about their experience afterwards. So, who wants to go first?
Okay.
John.
Yeah.
So where's our
microphone?
microphone?
You want one too, Ron?
No, I'm mic'd up already.
Mic'd up already?
Yes. Let me, before we get started, I'll just give you all a little history. I had a near-death experience back in 1987, and it's taken me all this time, to 32 and a half years, to process it. It wasn't a long one. It didn't involve any other beings or anything, and I'll get into that later. But it has affected me, and it just changed the trajectory of my life. Okay, and my life is much different now, and it's brought me an awareness of a spirituality that I never knew existed, and a part of life that I never knew existed on this plane, not on the other plane, but on this plane, So I've shared that, various things through the years, and the people of our congregation here asked me last year to, well, hell, that's a really, really valuable thing. Why don't we gather up some more people who have had near-death experiences and have a conference, and give them a forum to share their experiences, and because not everybody has heard mine. Until last year, I had not shared that publicly before ever. And I don't think I did the whole thing even then. But so this is our second year, and we hope that it will grow and people will get more interested. I talked to a guy who was at the whole expo, who was from Austin, and he said he was back in Austin, so he couldn't come tonight. But he said he had a friend who put on a big NDE conference in Austin, and there were 100 percenters. And he said, gosh, yeah, let me know way ahead of time. We'll get some to come up there. Texans love an excuse to come to Colorado. They just really do. So anyway, so we'll start with John. This is my friend. I've known John for probably about 25 years. His name is John Turnus, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, John, and let you tell your story. I'm not going to try to tell your story.
Thanks for that, Ron. And thank you, Ron, for the introduction. Sweet. My name is John Turnus, and I'm really, really grateful to be alive today.
Can you see him?
Can you see me? Okay. Yeah, I've got good legs today.
Yeah.
Hasn't always been the case.
If you could move this, like he could sit on this stool.
This is my beautiful wife, Gloria, up here in front. Are you sure, Ron?
Yeah, let me vacate this chair, and you can have this one. Yeah, thank you.
You see me okay? Okay. I haven't ever really told my story in front of anybody because it's been pretty recent since I've had in my life 3 near-death experiences, and I'm only going to talk about the last 2 I had, and that was May 25th of last year. I had a major heart attack. I'm a general contractor. In fact, I bid on putting the addition on here when they did that about 3 years ago. And so I'm familiar with this church and the people in it, and Pastor George and a few others. And I figured I'd feel comfortable in here, and I do. And this is my wife Gloria over here, my partner, my confidant, and my nurse for the last. I had this heart attack May 25th of last year, and Gloria's been by my side ever since. And that was 2 near-death experiences, a coma for 12 days, and I was in the hospital more than I was out of it in the whole year. I had a triple bypass that failed, and then I had 8 stents put in my heart, and I went into anaphylactic shock from the dye, and went in that coma for 12 days. I didn't have a near-death experience then. I'll tell you chronologically when they happened. And then I went and had 2 mitral valves put in my heart. And when they put the first clip in there, everything went good. And the second one, they put the clip over a wire, so they had to induce me into another anesthesia, and one went out for a while, and they couldn't get it out. So I have a wire running from in my heart, comes out my groin area. So I'm wired. I'm 2 days after I had so that would have been May 25th. I had my heart attack. May 30th, I had a triple bypass that failed. 2 days later, after that, they were giving me muscle relaxers and things like this, and I went into. I just flatlined. I was laying there, and I was in this. Before that, I was in such excruciating pain that it was like I was asking God, please take me out of this. And I think I got my wish almost fulfilled, because when I went into this, when I flatlined, I just all of a sudden I was laying there, and all of a sudden the whole area got dark. But what it was I'm a builder, like I told you, and everything all the light was coming in like slices, like everything. I was looking at everything kind of like sideways, and then it would go the other way, and I was going, man, I was losing consciousness is what I figured out. My brain wasn't getting any oxygen. And so I flatlined, and all of a sudden I got grabbed by one arm here, and another being or something grabbed my other arm, and they were tug-of-warring me. And I was going, like, one was going up this way, one was going down this way, and it was like I was screaming, please stop, you're tearing my arms out of my socket. And it was that painful of a situation. Hi, Lynette. And I suddenly started thinking, this is what death is like. I'm going one way or the other. And I thought, well, I know it's this way, and I know it's this way. And I said, I don't want to go the other way. And I haven't led the best life in the world, and I probably deserve to go there. Maybe just, that's God's will, but not mine. And I fought these beings off, and finally I was able to shake loose of one hand, and instantly I was no more pain. And I started getting pulled up, and I was getting pulled up, and I looked down, and I go, and I see somebody on a bed, and the doctors are all working on him and things like this, and I go, that poor guy. And then I realized that's me down there. So I'd left my body, and I was going up to the spheres, and it was just like, it was so peaceful, and it was just like, it wasn't like the bright light like you talk about. It was just like everything was kind of like twilight, and I was getting pulled up, and all of a sudden I heard my grandpa say, I'm German, he said, Johann, come on, you got a little ways to go, and you're going to be here. And I heard some other people, some mentors of mine that have passed on. One of them, Jim O'Neill, I heard him saying, John, we got space for you now, or something like this. And I'm going, I'm ready, God, take me. And I got closer and closer, and I heard all these other voices, people that have passed on, talking to me and saying, you need to be up here. You've done your thing. And I'm going, and it was so peaceful. And I was just floating. and that arm was still holding on to me. I didn't ever look at the face. I think I was afraid to, or whatever. I'd never looked at the face, but I think it was the hand of God. I'd like to believe it was the hand of God who was pulling me up there. And I got like from here to that back wall, from getting up to the top, and I started seeing faces up there, my grandpa and people that were talking to me, and it was kind of hazy, kind of like looking through a fog, and I'm going, I'm coming, I'm relaxing. And it was the most relaxing thing that ever happened to me. Since that heart attack, or in my life, it was just so relaxing. I was just floating along, and it felt so good, and it felt like, I was almost there, and all of a sudden, another hand grabbed my other hand and says, "Not now," and pulled me down. And I come to find out it was a nurse by the name of Joe Macias at Presbyterian Hospital that was putting the paddles on me, and he said he had never seen anybody come off the bed like that. I was 2 feet off the ground, and he pulled me back down, and I don't think I came. I think I laid there for a while, and then my eyes opened up, and all of a sudden there he was. He goes, "That was close." And my wife had just left the room to go get something to eat or something. She'd been in there, 23, 24 hours a day since I had the heart attack. I got pulled down, and all of a sudden the pain's back. I'm back to reality. The pain's back, and I just went, man, what was that? And he said, "You were flatlined for at least 2.5 or 3 minutes," and I think it was, and somebody said, you've still got work to do down here. And I just remember that ringing in my head. You're not done yet. We still got work to do for you. So I came out of that, and I was so grateful to be alive. My wife was, I had 4 doctors before, four of the best specialists around: cardiologist, a liver doctor, a kidney doctor, a lung doctor. Told my wife that, says, "Well, what's his chances of making it?" And every one of them said, "Not good." And so I came out of that. And then I went. So I got well enough to go home, and I think I left the hospital like about a week later, June 10th. They sent me home without any Lasix. So because I have a compensated liver now, and all of a sudden I just went from about 165 pounds they had me down to. I ballooned up to about 220 in about 3 days. Just all the fluids I was drinking were not going through my liver. So all of a sudden I'm back in the emergency room, back in that same little airplane that took me down the first time. And this one was just totally a different near-death experience. They were feeding me nitroglycerin like chiclets, throwing them down my throat to get my heart going again and clear, get it a little bit shocked. And this one was not quite as dramatic as that first one. That first one was the one that just really opened my eyes that there's a God and I'm not it, and that that there is a heaven and a hell. It kind of gave me that idea. And I think sometimes that heaven is right here, and sometimes I think hell can be right here, if we make it that way. But the second one was I was on the plane, and I flatlined again, where they were giving me all this nitroglycerin, and I went flatlined. It just was, my fluids were building up so much, and my lungs were full of fluid, and my heart, it was in my heart, and it was stopping my heart, and so I'm laying there, and I just went out. I flatlined again, and this one was, I was outside the airplane, on kind of not a rug, but a kind of like a toboggan or something. I don't know. It was so vivid though. And I'm out there and I'm flying alongside the airplane and telling the captain, I can remember seeing him inside with a little light, and he looked at me and I said, "Follow me." And I'm telling him where to go to fly the airplane down to Albuquerque. And I'm flying along, and all of a sudden we started coming down to making our final approach. And the next thing I know, wind gusts came and flipped me up outside. And the next thing I know, the plane landed, and I opened my eyes. I was back in the gurney. And but that was just kind of like And I went, what was that all about? And it scared me a little bit more than I think the first one. The first one, I was too weak to do it, but this one really got my attention for the simple fact that I knew that I didn't have anything to do with it. I wasn't getting pulled to the heavens or hell. I was just kind of out of body experience again, and to me that was. I don't think it was a dream. I don't think it was too real to be a dream, and it was too bizarre to be real. I don't know. They kind of that twilight that you get into, and I know it wasn't drug induced. I mean, the nitroglycerin doesn't have anything to do with that. So it was so vivid though that I got out of that situation, and then I went in that coma for 12 days, and I came out of that coma. And I remembered these near-death experiences like they were just like 5 minutes ago. And I went, and it was like, I went through a year of literal torture. And I thought my wife had committed me to the insane asylum, is what I thought for a while, because I was so bizarred out. But, come to find out that I had a lot of friends that prayed for me, and that God's loving hand was on me, just maybe teach me. And I came out of that, and I told my wife, Gloria, I says, Gloria, I have a new profound faith in life and in God. And I says, whatever he wants us to go, I'll go. I'm not going to ask him. I'm not going to get in debating society or anything. I think it was a wake-up call that probably a knucklehead like me needed two of them, But I've got a whole new outlook on life after this, and I've had a few of these spiritual awakenings, and I think it's, I don't want anybody else to go through what I did, but at the same time, I think it was a very, very good thing for me to go through. It gave me a whole different perspective of near-death experiences. The other one I had was a long time ago, and it was a little bit more drug-induced type of thing, and I don't want to talk about that one. It's but these two that happened within a year, and so I went. My health today is good. I've lost about 50, 60 pounds, and I feel good about life, and I feel good about myself, and we've become members of a church up in Vicedo that's close to us up there at Lemon. We live up at Lemon Reservoir. I think I was talking to Bob's wife, and we have a life beyond our wildest dreams because of these near-death experiences that gave me this idea that life is short, and it can be taken from you anytime. Don't take it for granted. Live every day to the fullest. Love people, and just get a loving heart and all this. And I think it softened me because I was kind of had a little bit of a rough edge to me. Being in construction for 47 years, and I did things my way. And today I think I kind of ask for guidance, my mentors and my people before I do anything. Because my ideas aren't get me in trouble like this too. So watching my diet, watching everybody around me get old too. It's not all about me. I'm not much, but I'm all I think about. So I think it was one of those boing, the light's finally on at 65 years old, and I don't think you have to wait that long for it to happen. So live life good. This is my experience with a near-death experience, and I hope somebody gets something out of it that helped them along with their. And the other thing is I feared death for so long. I was fear of getting old and what's going to happen to me next. What am I going to be at and all these things were worry and instead of worrying, I turn it at the faith. I'm not afraid of death anymore. I know that I'm in training to be nobody special, and I'm also in training to enlarge my spiritual life. And I think that's the goal of this whole thing. When I pass, I hope that I'm in a good spot for that God looks down at me and says, hey, this knucklehead did the best he could, with what he had. So thank you for listening. And
Okay. Why don't you just turn it off? Thank you.
Chuck.
I want to introduce our pastor, George. George, could you come up here? George just had a procedure on his eye. He had some cataract removed, and he's up and taking nourishment and doing good. So we're real happy to have him.
He said he better be doing good, he's driving.
Well, yeah.
I'm seeing things without my glasses right now. This is
Just so long as you don't see things that are not there, you'll be
Well, I'm going to tell you something I saw. Hopefully you won't see it, but when you were talking, one of the things I can do is see spirits or angels around. You had an angel around you the whole time you were talking, and it was like touching your, sending a lot of love from the back to the front of your heart.
Thank you.
But thanks.
Thank you, George. So I think if it's okay with everybody. Is it on?
No, your microphone is here.
Oh, it is. Well, it won't.
That's why I couldn't pick you up.
Can't pick me up. Yeah. So what I said just now, nobody's ever going to hear it again. We did that last year. I started talking, and I talked for probably 2 minutes, and we didn't even have a microphone. So the film didn't. There was nothing, no sound, but it was okay after that. If it's okay with everybody, what we'll do, we'll just tell our stories, and then we'll just make ourselves available for questions. So if you have questions for somebody, why don't we just hold them to the end, and we'll have those questions. So our next speaker is, I thought he was from Durango, but he's actually from Aztec, which is not a bad thing. So don't go judge us, because a lot of us Aztecites are pretty good people. Even we have several of them in the room. We may even outnumber. We could probably take them. Yeah. Okay, yes, right. Yeah. So, but anyway, so our next speaker is Mario Martino, and he is from Aztec, and I know that he has a fantastic story that he is going to tell us. So, why don't you come on up, Mario, and tell us about it.
Thank you.
So I'd say, if you'll just stand over there where he can film you, I'll sit here, and then I won't have to be getting up and down again. Okay?
Sounds
How's
good.
that? Just need to be out of the frame, I think. There.
Good evening, and I want to welcome you all. Thank you for the opportunity to
I have
talk.
to turn the microphone. Yeah, it has to be on.
Is that on? Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Well, not first, but anyway, thank you for coming and giving me the opportunity to express. Thank you for sharing your heartfelt experience. It was real. It was true, and your words said it.
Testing.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, my experience isn't very dramatic. I'll give you a little background first, if I may, so it puts it in context why God and I were having a discussion whether I should die or not. I've been studying spirituality most of my life. When I was a kid of 4 or 5, I could remember talking to lights at the well in our town and looking at them and saying, why am I in this body, and why am I in this little village, and why am I born in such a poor town, and why am I thought I deserved more. Like any 5-year-old thinks he's the boss. Anyway, so spirituality first. I'm giving you some background. I was in my early 20s and contractor in Tucson, driving this old 68 truck, sweaty, and middle of the day, and I'm just driving down main thoroughfare, and I suddenly got a feeling, and my whole body just shivered. Not in a negative way, but a very positive, loving way. And I haven't been in church, for a while. And I just said, thank you, dear Lord. Thank you. I'm blessed. Anyway, I went back to my working and kind of put that experience aside. I'm not going to drag out this whole thing. I am getting too. Anyway. Yeah, right. I apologize to you. Anyway, so I guess really started searching, like a lot of you, for more meaning besides where I was at that time. I had, anyway, to move on. I was at a stage at this point in my life where life was hard. I was facing things about myself and about my life that I didn't like. I mean, very painful. Nobody likes to face their negative self. Nobody likes to face that they failed life. And I felt like I was failing life. I was failing. Now, mind you, I don't take drugs. I don't drink. I try not to lie. If you, like a contractor, you want something and it's my fault, I'll fix it. Even if it's not my fault, I'll fix it. So I've always tried to be very upfront. I mean, first time I stole a pack of gum, I felt so guilty that I took it back to the store and put it back on the shelf. Anyway, I was at this point in my life where I was facing things in my life that didn't work out. Everything from broken up marriage to letting go of my children, letting go of my business, letting go, and facing why. And of course, we all want to hear the positive reasons of why we should succeed, and not be told all the corrections in our life. At least that's where I was, I should say. I mean, anyway, I thought I really had a very blessed life. So to come on the other cycle, you know, anyway, I was down at this bottom curve of my life. And I mean, I was fortunate. I should first explain that I asked for that intercession of God to show me my negativity. I don't recommend that, by the way. I really don't. So, you know, it shows you where you failed, life after life after life after life, and you get to pretty depressed. Anyway, I wanted to kind of escape this life at that time, and I fell off a roof, and I was flying. That was great until the concrete met my head. So anyway, and I lay there for a while, and paramedics came, and I said, "Look, you guys, don't bother do anything to me. I'm just want to take a nap, and I'll be fine." Of course, they rushed me to an emergency hospital in Albuquerque. This was in '92, Mother's Day, by the way. And I'm not sure what was going on in the emergency room per se, like your experience, which was, you were real fortunate to have that experience to see your body, and I wasn't quite that fortunate in a sense. And anyway, they finally got up, I guess woke up, and was put in an emergency room, and then, or out of the emergency room. Then I was told that they had to ask a friend of mine to come identify the body when I was in the morgue, because they had pronounced me dead 3 times in that same scenario. And the reason why I'm saying we were having an argument was because I wanted to leave and avoid this life, and God was saying something else and wanted something else. Of course, he has the say and the power and the love and the wisdom to go with that love. So, but I was kind of indignant, if that's the right word. I mean, I didn't care where I went. If it was to the bottom, I didn't mind. I wanted to escape where I was at that time. And by the way, I knew I was very fortunate. I was very blessed to be in that experience, because I had asked for that experience to cleanse my soul and my spirit. I just didn't know it was going to be so literal and so painful.